everything in Las Vegas is fake. Or is it?
The first time I came to Las Vegas, I wasn't really a fan. It all kind of bugged me. But what bugged me most was how fake it all felt. The rivers were fake. Hell, the dirt was fake. Even let's just say everything was fake. Now, don't get me wrong, it's impressive, and I understood why it appealed to people, but I wasn't one of them. Then I went downtown for the first time, and everything changed. Like the biblical Bartimaeus, the mud peeled from my eyes, and I saw for the first time. But instead of seeing Jesus, I saw debauchery. And in that debauchery, I felt at home. Downtown was a little rougher, a little grimier, and a whole lot more real. I really fell in love. And once I did, I started to see for the first time how weird the whole place really was. You're in the middle of the desert, right? And up until not that long ago, they were testing nukes so close that you could watch mushroom clouds. How did a town run by gangsters turn from the Rat Pack into an adult Disneyland? And why? Why here? Nothing about Las Vegas made sense to me, and I wanted to know why. And beyond that, I wanted to hear a few ghost stories. After all, I work for a ghost store company. And between the mob burying people in the desert and the nuclear radiation, there had to be some weird shit floating around out here. That's when I met Alan Rothenberg, one of our Ghost City tour guides in Las Vegas, and he opened up my mind.
Hi, I'm Alan Rothenberg. I'm one of the guides here in downtown Las Vegas with Ghost City Tours. And I'm happy to welcome you to our beautiful city, fabulous Las Vegas. Why here? Well, there's no water here in this valley, except right where we're at, the lowest point in the valley. If it rains, all that water runs down to this point, lowest part in the valley. A man named Rafael Rivera, he was a Spanish soldier in the 1830s. He got on the old Spanish trail and he got lost and he ended up down here and he saw all this greenery and he made a note on a map. Las Vegas means the meadows.
So eventually they created a railroad spot out here and the town blossomed. But how does a place go from a railroad stop to Sin City?
Well, a guy named Mr. Clark, he owned the railroad. Him and his family owned it. So where's the red light district? Where's the booze? Where's the broads? Where's the drugs? Where's the fun? I know, we don't have any of that. He goes, I want to buy some property outside of the city limit so I can have my own law. And that's what he did. He set up the original Sin City.
Okay, so that's the start of Sin City, but that's not the whole story. Well, President Hoover decided to build a damn big dam, and name it after himself. And that's when the town went to the next level.
1931, they legalized gambling, and down there in Boulder City, they were not allowed to gamble. And those workers got paid. They came up here to spend their hard-earned money.
So where do those workers hang out? Well, at a place called the Hotel Apache, a hotel that is still there today. And it's a hotel inside of another hotel. It's Hotelception. It's inside Binion's Casino, but is the Hotel Apache haunted?
Man, is it haunted. The Apache Hotel. Remember, these guys building the dam, they don't know what they're getting into. They're apprehensive, they're nervous, they don't know. They show up at the Hotel Apache, which is the first resort hotel in Las Vegas.
What's a resort hotel in 1932?
Electricity, air conditioning, and a private bathroom. They're kind of in between worlds here, and they're very apprehensive. That apprehension energy dictates and transfers to those rooms. And that's why we have so much energy and stuff that happens in that building. It's documented, it's on the walls per room what happened in that room.
But there's one room in particular scarier than all the rest. Room 400.
Room 400 is Benny Binion's secret room. And you can book that room and they'll give you ghost hunting equipment. If you fly in to Las Vegas and have that room booked, they will pick you up in his limousine. So they're that confident. And I will tell you, a friend of mine who's a paranormal investigator went and stayed in that room. He is still getting lots and lots of EVP and information to translate.
I used the ghost equipment to look for spirits, but they found us.
I heard people talking to each other on the elevator, but when the doors opened, there was no one on the elevator.
When I saw this guy at the top of the stairs, he had a black and white suit on and he just stared at me. As I got closer, he faded away.
Of course, Hotel Apache isn't the only haunted hotel in Las Vegas. There's also an old mob hangout called the El Cortez that has human remains in its basement.
When Jackie Gone bought the El Cortez, from the Housels in 1963. He inherited, a half a dozen employees that had no families. They weren't married. These people eventually passed away. And Mr. Gaughan says, I can't let these folks go to a pauper's grave. So he paid for their funeral, had them put into urns, their ashes. He had a crypt put in the basement, and it's still there. Eventually, there were 14 urns, and a mobster eventually ended up in there. And does that translate to energy? Some people say it does.
After talking to Alan, I had a better understanding of Vegas and a few of its ghosts. Although he told me some of the best stories off camera because he didn't want to spoil his tour, naturally.
I'd rather you didn't photograph.
All I can say is if you want a spooky time in Sin City, go take a tour with Alan. But I still didn't understand one thing. How the town went from podunk cowboy casino to the mob empire it has such a reputation for. Well, to find out, I went to the source, the Mob Museum in downtown Las Vegas. Now, the Mob Museum sits in an old federal courthouse in downtown Las Vegas, and they don't really sugarcoat things. They track the rise of organized crime in America, and they've got some pretty gnarly exhibits, like the St. Valentine's Day Massacre Wall. See our Chicago video for the story on that one. But specifically, they chart the rise of the mob in Las Vegas itself. It all starts with a guy named Ben Siegel. He was a Jewish gangster out of New York who came out to Las Vegas and laid the groundwork for what Las Vegas would become. Now, Siegel came to Vegas in the 1940s and saw what everyone else missed. This place could be a mirage in the desert, a fantasy in the sand, a playground of sin. Backed by money from his mob pals, he built the Flamingo into an upscale casino in the desert of all places. But the opening night proved to be an unlucky roll of the dice. Big names were supposed to show up, along with studio executives and West Coast high rollers, but a bad storm in Los Angeles grounded flights and the night fizzled out. In 1947, he was shot to death in Beverly Hills. A message from the mob that Vegas would move forward without him. But in many ways, the modern Strip still follows the blueprint he left behind. Some say Bugsy can still be seen wandering around the Flamingo, perhaps trying to capture some of the acclaim he was denied. So what's the takeaway from all this? Beyond the lights, the bets, and the booze, it's a town that shouldn't exist, quite frankly. And yet somehow, it does. It's a little slice of heaven and hell right there in the desert. And maybe what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas because some things never move on. Some things just haunt the place.